Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Frank Salas, better known as the talented Mr. Salas, with my man, my big bro, Matt Crane at I Am Matt Crane everywhere on social media. Matt, what's going on? How you feeling today?
Man, what's up, my man? The talented Mr. Salas, one Frank Salas. I'm phenomenal. I am phenomenal.
Great. So recently, out of nowhere, Instagram and Facebook have teamed up and linked forces and dropped an uppercut to Snapchat and said, wake up, we are here. What do you feel? If you don't know what we're talking about, if you've been living underneath a rock, we are talking about Instagram stories, the most blatant ripoff of any platform that has ever occurred this decade, this century for sure, and maybe even in the history of mankind. What are your thoughts on what's transpired with the good old Insta stories?
First of all, I love the fact that everybody called it Insta Snaps right off the gate. Okay, first of all, that's what I love. But second of all, I think it was a Mike Tyson punch out blow. And you know, Frank, I ain't even mad at Instagram. You know what I'm mad at is that most people aren't giving Snapchat the respect that it deserves for actually getting played by Instagram. You see, Snapchat actually pushed Facebook to step up their engagement on Instagram, or they knew they were going to get crushed. And so what Snapchat really did was that it created the necessity for some other social media platforms to step up their engagement, because prior to Instagram coming out with this, there was no social medium that was touching Snapchat on the way that it was engaging with its audience.
Right. And just some quick facts about Snapchat. Snapchat is the most engaged platform in the history of social media. To give you a frame of reference, all social media since MySpace has been a less than 1% content creation rate, meaning less than 1% of the entire population on those platforms have produced content. Now, in 2016 on Snapchat, over 90% of everybody on Snapchat produces content daily. So you went from less than 1% as an industry standard to over 90% producing 10 billion videos a day. So Facebook actually tried to buy out Facebook tried to buy out Snapchat a few years ago at $3 billion with a B dollars. And Snapchat said, nah, we're cool. So Facebook said, okay, we came to you guys with a legitimate business opportunity. So you didn't want to play ball, and we're going to steal your toy. We're going to take that toy and distribute it to our billions of users that we have. How do you like them apples? And that's what went down this week, man. And so far, it's not perfect. But you know what? I got to say I'm impressed.
Yeah, you know, I'll say this. I think what it really boils down to is Instagram. Man, actually, let me rephrase what I'm about to say. Facebook not only came out with a haymaker, but they said, you know what? We're going to show you just how big our market share really is. And what I noticed immediately was the clarity of Instagram stories. Man, it was so crystal clear. And it made it so inviting, even as an influencer that uses the platform to create content. Man, I was already engaged with it from the jump. And so, you know, it's kind of like, hey, you know, Yahoo had a chance to sell out for 44 billion at one point, and they had to settle for 4. Did Snapchat make the same fatal flaw?
Yo, that's a good point. Only time will tell. But what I like that you said from there is Facebook just does good business. Facebook is at the point where it no longer has to innovate. In 2005, in 2006, in 2007, and 2008, it had to innovate. But now everybody is on Facebook, and Facebook is like a prerequisite of being a first world citizen, even a second world citizen. Hell, when I go to the Philippines, man, and I go out, homeless people there still have Facebook, man. I was just walking down over here by the little corner store. The guy was asking me for some change, and I'm like, yo, man, here's like $1, but if you're asking me for change, how do you pay for your cell phone bill? Like, who pays for your data? He's like, yo, I'm on the store's Wi-Fi. So you got homeless people who They don't have anything, but they have a Facebook. So that should tell you that Facebook has a user base. And because they have a user base, they no longer have to innovate. They no longer have to be the trendsetter. They actually let platforms like Blab, which we're recording this in August of 2016 on Blab. Maybe a year from now, Blab won't be around, but Facebook will take the good features and the features that we like from platforms like this, and they would add it on to their platform. So Facebook, again, no longer is the innovator, and that's a benefit that we can all learn from Facebook because they have the audience and they have the user base from there. So that's a key lesson that you can learn from Facebook and the Instagram team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's another great lesson is that how Facebook is constantly evolving its brand, even as the top dog in the space. And I think that's what goes to show the brilliance of Mark Zuckerberg and what he really brings to the table is that he really is the Steve Jobs of the social media realm. You think of what Steve Jobs did with Apple. The guy was fired by his own company, and then he bought them back after he built another company that they were concerned about. And so what I see with Zuckerberg that makes just the guy seems to be the Teflon Don of social media, right? He seems to be able to make moves that just make sense. But I think what he is also showing us is how true entrepreneurship really is. He makes major risk decisions with his platform, but he does it with very strategic and systematic ways of operating and watching and listening and paying attention to the way things are moving. And so I think that's why so many people are just like those oh my God moments, because Zuckerberg, once again, he come out of the shadows and said, hello, by the way, we run this.
Dude, I love how Matt just has like the greatest flow in all time. Like he's got the craziest metaphors. He's got the craziest rhymes. It's such a pleasure to be on here with you, man. So a few things that I had, like just asking people in my circles, of what they thought about Instagram stories. And one of the things that really struck my mind from one of my fellow influencer friends, he said that Snapchat story or Instagram stories is Snapchat for Gen X. How do you feel about that?
Actually, I feel like Instagram stories is what's going to bring baby boomers and millennials closer together, in my opinion, because more baby boomers have used Instagram per se than most other platforms outside of Facebook because they like watching pictures. So what I've really seen is how millennials have gravitated towards the Instagram because that's where the buying market was. And before we hit the marketplace in 2025, the boomers still have a lot of the buying power. So I don't believe Instagram stories is going to be the Snapchat for Gen X. What I see happening is Snapchat is going to start marketing to Gen X a lot harder than it ever did to try to hold another one of those power generations. And I think you're going to see Snapchat's format, and I hope this doesn't happen because I like Snapchat, but I hope it doesn't turn into the meerkat.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And just from my personal experience, Instagram stories been out for a few days. There's people, and I've got a great following on Snapchat. I've got a great following on Periscope. Thankfully, I'm a growth hacker and I've got a great following everywhere. But when I did my first few Instagram stories, people that have never looked at my Snapchat, people that have never joined me on Periscope and that only know me on Instagram, and some of them maybe only know me on Facebook, where I don't promote any of my actual content unless it's like really, really, really good, or I'm doing a speech or a keynote speech or anything like that. So when something like that really hits and I'm out there first, people are curious, and I'm getting hundreds of views from my existing fan base who may or may not know exactly what I do or even what I do now, because I constantly switch my value. I constantly switch my platforms. I'm constantly running another promotion. And so 6 months ago, somebody might have known me as the virtual assistant guy. 3 weeks ago, you might know me as the emoji guy. And right now you might know me as the growth hacker. So, people are kind of always seeing, okay, this is what this guy's doing, and they're seeing what I'm doing on a daily basis. And now it opens up that there's a little chat button where if somebody sees me doing yoga on a Thursday at 11 o'clock in the morning, they're like, Frank, how do you do what you do? And they send me a direct message. And now it opens up that line of communication so we can further have that conversation.
Yeah. So we had a question, and for some reason it went away. I can't see it. So if you could pop that question back up. But no, I agree with you 100%. 100%. And I think that that's something else that most people need to really understand is why you don't need to get locked into one social media platform, why you can't get hung up being the Snapchat person or the Facebook person, because what happens is you get sprung and then you spring a leak, because when some other social media platforms actually update and you can't update with it because you've thrown all your eggs in one basket. That's why you hear so many influencers say you got to get noticed on all platforms. The other thing that I think this should really prove to everybody is why you should repurpose your content and share it everywhere.
Absolutely. I just took my Snap or my Instagram story, and it was a lot higher quality. I took a video of the place where I do yoga. It's beautiful. There's a bunch of water. There's a beautiful sunlight. I just took a video right there. And I then downloaded that and I put it on my Instagram actual feed as my actual post. And it was easy. I was like, man, that went to my Instagram story. And it also went to my timeline on Instagram. And because I repurposed my content, of course, it goes to my Facebook, my Twitter, my Pinterest, my Tumblr, my Blogger, my Google Plus, and so on and so forth. But it was just really easy. And I loved how it was just easy to do. Like in Snapchat, Snapchat's easy, but there's a little bit of a learning curve. You just can't go on there and natively learn that. And Instagram has a user base right now. And with that user base, they're familiar with how to use that. So they're not having to learn another program. They're not having to download something. They're not having to figure out, okay, how do you make this emoji fly? How do you do the funny face filters? They're just like, okay, it's Instagram, it's simple, and it's what people are doing now. And with Snapchat, you constantly have to be on there 60 to 100 times a day. It's just nonstop. Look at me. Look what I'm doing. Look what I'm doing. Look what I'm doing. But Instagram is like looking to show you your friends and the people that you interact with a lot easier. So I constantly, because I comment on Matt Crane's posts all the time, I'm constantly seeing his posts. And even though he did it in the morning, he's still one of my top posts because we have that relationship. So Instagram does a lot better job of showing you the people that you're already interacting with.
Yeah, so, Jay Garrett, my man at Moto JT, want to thank him for the question. He says, do you think businesses will be more attracted to Instagram stories because static info as opposed to non-static content on Snapchat? I'm gonna let Frank take that one first, and then I'll back it up on the second layer. Thanks for the question, my man Jay.
Yo, Jay, what up? He's actually out here in Austin, Texas. Big shout out to my boy Moto JT, Jay Garrett, the lending lawyer. He's an awesome guy. He actually taught me how to get on Blab. He took him out to barbecue and he just showed me the ropes. So as far as the static content on Instagram, I feel like brands would be obviously smart to use both, but they have to be on Instagram because more people are using Instagram than there are Snapchat, at least that the brands can measure, that can track. Because let's be real, the analytics on Snapchat are lackluster. Okay, all you have is two metrics. These are how many eyeballs you have, and these are how many screenshots you have. It doesn't show you how many people fast forward your stuff. It doesn't show you where they're logging in from. You can't see that right now. That's where Snapchat is really missing out. They have yet to create the analytics on their end to make it easy for advertisers and brands to go in there. So I think that businesses will be more attracted to Instagram stories because they're able to say, okay, there's an established user base here. People are already spending money to market on Instagram anyways, and people are comfortable with Instagram. Snapchat, we don't know. We can't measure. We can't track. As a business owner, even though I know the power of Snapchat, I would be more advised if I had a corporate client, I would probably get more business from them if I could show and measure the results from something like an Instagram.
Yeah, and I'm going to take it just one step further. I think what a lot of advertisers and brands are really going to look at is the analytics of Facebook. Because what you really have with Instagram is a sister company that is going to always be able to piggyback the power base of its daddy, which is Facebook. 1.6 billion users on Facebook. You cannot argue with those numbers. And so what happens is because Facebook and Instagram are now married to one another and you can share content across those platforms with very little hardship. Now what you're doing is you're bridging all age groups, all gaps, and it's going to become very attractive for brands to want to jump all over that. The other thing that I want to say, Frank, I'll take it a step further, is that Snapchat does not give you a bona fide look at who's really watching your stories and where they fall off. Instagram gives you the eyeball test, and then it shows you immediately where they quit watching. So it gives you, as a content creator, ultimate credibility to find out, okay, what happened? Did I post too much? Did I give them too much at the beginning? And then the second thing that it does is it gives you the opportunity to go back. Snapchat doesn't. So when you think about brands and an eyeball test, brands want to be in front of you all the time. So for a 24-hour digital billboard, they like knowing that, man, you can always go back and look to see what other people have done. I think that's where it's really going to change the game, and where they have changed the game, in my opinion.
I agree, and I don't want to say it's more of a change the game. I feel like they came to the game with an unfair advantage, and that unfair advantage is this: Instagram is designed first to consume and then to create. So because Snapchat is designed to create and then to consume, there's kind of this pressure on the actual platform where, because your stories delete every 24 hours and you can't see like a wall of stories, that'd be kind of cool. Like basically, if you go to my Instagram, my last maybe 40 posts are all videos that I repurposed from Snapchat that I'm now repurposing from my Snapagram. That's what I'm calling it, the Snapagram. So I repurpose it from my Snapagram, and when I do that, people can see a little bit of what my life is. But every day on Snapchat, I got to be on the treadmill. I got to say, if you know my Snapchat, I wake up, I do a lip sync, I go out and I film traffic, and I go, we got to go to work. We got to go to work. And then I go down and I do some yoga and I show some awesome views. Then I do some motivation. Then I tease my Periscope. Then I go on Periscope Live. Then I tell people on Snapchat to watch my Periscope. And then I come back and then I go out with the rest of my day. So that gets kind of boring as a content creator. But as Snapchat, with InstaSnap or Snapagram, I like that I can actually say, you know what? This is a really awesome moment in my life with a really good view that's aesthetically pleasing. I want to share this experience with you, and not just in a video. I want to share this in a real-time video that I may or may not repurpose, but you can check to see what I'm doing. And you can see me walking up to my yoga spot right before I take that yoga shot, right before I take that downtown view. And that's what I really like about the Snapagram.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something else that I can see happening is that Facebook has already proven that it don't play around with nasty content. It's already told you it'll take it off the site without even worrying about your thoughts and your feelings. And so I think what you're also dealing with InstaSnap, right? Well, that's what I call it, that InstaSnap, is that there's already a standard been set, right? So I look at this as Instagram has really created the white collar Snapchat. Is that you're going to step to the table in a suit and tie, and you're going to have to play by the right rules. And I feel sorry for the first person who wants to put that naked picture on an InstaSnap, because they're going to completely get annihilated. And I think that that's another thing that's important for content creators, is that to know that, man, they're not competing with people who are just out here flashing themselves and really pulling a lot of eyeballs, and they can really stay consistent. And, I think that's important. Now, my second point to that, Frank, to what you were saying, is that InstaSnap is really also giving people immediate success stories, right? You're putting an InstaSnap online and you're seeing 100 people watch it. That makes you more confident. Where on Snapchat, I almost called it Snapgram. On Snapchat, you might have 4 or 5 people and you ride that struggle bus and you get discouraged. And that's why a lot of people might not play around with the platform. So, I'll just be honest with you. I think Instagram just really came, like you said, they came to the park with a corked bat, and every ball that they're hitting is going 500 feet.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And let's go ahead and I'm going to back up Snapchat real quick, because there's a few things you can't do on Instagram yet. Now, this is first week, so this, just bear with that. Yet you can't do the filters. One of my friends was like, yo, if you can't turn me to a zombie, if you can't turn me to a dog, if you can't turn me to a mermaid, I'm not interested. And there's some people that love that aspect of Snapchat, which is a great thing. And the more the customizations, there's more features there for Snapchat. But like you had said, and like Tamara Corporal says, you just she just looked at her Instagram stats. This is going to be power for her, a real game changer. And you know what? Even if you're not getting 100 followers, if you're not getting 500 views on your Instagram, look, I'm only getting like 200 or 300 people on my Snapchat. You know, I'm only getting about 200 or 300 people on my Instagram, but together that's like 400 to 600. So again, the purpose is to be on all platforms. Like right now, I'm broadcasting live on my Facebook group. I'm broadcasting live on Periscope, and I'm also broadcasting live on Blab. And I'm going to repurpose this further as I upload it to YouTube. When I upload it to YouTube, it automatically disperses to my distribution channel. And then my virtual assistants from there will then optimize all the videos and the profiles to help me out. So again, this is just another thing that you have to add on there. And I know what you guys are saying, oh my God, another thing. But this one other thing is the one thing that your competition is doing that you're not. This one thing, that one account that sees you on the Instagram stories is going to get you in the Huffington Post. It's going to get you featured as an influencer. It's going to get somebody else to bring you into their tribe and do a JV webinar with you. And now you're doing 5 figures because this person has a list of 150,000. So, you know, that's kind of the power of that you have on Instagram, but don't neglect Snapchat. I'm not neglecting Snapchat. I will admit that I am cutting back a little bit because I have to put a little bit of time on Instagram, but not much. I am cutting back on my Instagram, on my Snapchat stories though.
Yeah. And Carl Blanchard, he's a real estate agent. And what's up, Carl? Always great to see you, my friend. He asked, you know, what's the recording time? It's the same 10-second platform, you know, so you have the same 10 seconds. However, what I will tell you is that you'll see a major difference in the quality of the way those 10 seconds are being recorded. And I think another thing, Frank, that it does indirectly is that it also enhances the quality of what people put on the platform. I've gone to a lot of Insta snaps, and I've seen some people that, man, are really, you know, they look vibrant. The backgrounds are always nice. The settings are always nice. The content's very clear. It's pristine. Snapchat, it's like 50-50 for me. Even my own content. I've gone back and looked at my own content, A versus B, and I've been like, man, it's just something about the clarity of Instagram. I'm still going to swim in a pool, but I'd like to see the bottom of the pool that I want to swim in the most. You feel what I'm saying?
For sure.
So I think that's what Instagram has really brought to the table, is that crystal clear water that everybody wants to be able to see the bottom, so they trust it 100% right away. And that's where you're going to see a lot of content really start cranking off, is because people really feel more comfortable with the platform immediately.
Definitely. And I want to give some people a few tips that have worked for me. Again, this hasn't even been out a full week. So of course, Matt and I as influencers are out there trying different things. I've done my yoga spots and I've kind of kept it a little bit more Snapchat, and that's great. I love to show the lifestyle, but I also love showing value on Instagram and Snapchat. But if you are giving value on those two platforms, especially on the stories, like, okay, cool, Frank, you do yoga, you work out, you have a nice view, you live in a nice city, you got a nice neighborhood. Cool. But what people really like is when I actually give out value. And what I notice is if I was just talking and giving value, people would skip through my stuff until I did this. Make sure you guys write this down if you're around a piece of paper. So with the emojis that come up to you. So let's say I'm talking about growth hacking. Let's say I'm talking about an Instagram hack or a Twitter hack. What I'll do is I'll put a bird emoji or like a money emoji or some type of emoji to get people's attention. And then I'll type out the actual value, kind of like a subtitle for a video on a Facebook ad, but a little bit more hashtag-ish, a little bit more condensed. So people know if you want to get this value and hit the full 10 seconds, click on this. And now their sound will pop on. I have their full attention. So even though they're on your snap, a lot of people think that, oh, you've got their attention. You've kind of got their attention, but people are multitasking. They're looking to see, is this something that I want to invest the next 10 seconds of my life in? That's where we are as a society in 2016.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think the other thing that you're going to start noticing is this. You said the word influencers, and it's so funny, but when you see these new platforms pop, and you see such a mad gold rush type attitude to get to them and be the first to dominate them, that's when you know that something has hit the marketplace that's completely different. Because when you have social media influencers that this is what they do for a living, they spend their days studying the marketplace, studying the hashtag, studying the way people are engaging. And yet they see, I mean, it's such a mass exodus right away. As a standard user, you would be foolish not to get over there and find out how you can throw your tent down and start prospecting. But more importantly, as an influencer or someone that's already starting to gain momentum, you would be even more crazy not to jump on that wagon and go west.
Definitely, man. Definitely. And let's go ahead and get some actionable results. Like let's just talk about people who are really popular on Instagram right now. Like, for example, a realtor, as a real estate agent, what I would do on my Snap stories or my Instagram stories, I would say, is I would do a quick video and say, hey, here is one of my favorite properties and here's the view. If you would like to get the full tour, go to my 1-minute video. And now you're teasing your content on your actual page. Or you can say, go to my website here. The link is in my bio. And now you can get people to either get pre-approved for their home or see what their home is worth. You want to drive into some kind of call to action, and you got to use the Instagram stories as a way to get their attention and give value. No matter what you're doing, give value. You could be a hairdresser. And as a hairdresser, you could say, hey, I'm getting my hair ready for the day, and here's a professional curling tip that you can do at home right now. If you want more tips like this, go ahead and click on the link in my bio. It'll take you to my website where I give you this free PDF on 12 different hairstyles, or my private Facebook group where you'll get X, Y, and Z. So make sure that you're leveraging the platform. Like, this is a new feature, yes, but it's just another method and another channel to deliver value to the marketplace.
Yeah, so I mean, take a look at what L'Oreal's already done. I mean, one of the most powerful makeup brands in the entire world is already partnered with Instagram on how they're going to do content creation, how they're going to commercialize it. They've probably already paid influencers to become brand ambassadors on the platform. And more importantly, like my man Joe Com said, so guys, if you don't know my man Joe Com, I love Joe Com, but here's what he said. He said, I can't abandon Snapchat, but I already recognize that I'm going to have specific content that goes on Instagram stories and specific content that goes on Snapchat. And I think that is some powerful stuff. And what Frank was really alluding to was that, moving forward, you're going to have to figure out where your audience is and on what platform they're paying attention to you. Because I can say this wholeheartedly. I know some people that are in this room that get more value from me probably on Periscope than they might on Facebook Live, because it's more of a comfort zone for me. I've been there longer. I know how to use it. I know the frame. I know the ins and outs and the ebb and flows. And so with Facebook Live, I'm still working that platform. And so, but nevertheless, you have to be one of those people that folks are rolling their eyes going, man, Matt's on again, right? Because it's just the way we are. Look, this marketplace is no longer just a great white shark. I mean, it's tiger sharks, bull sharks, great white sharks, hammerhead sharks. I mean, it's sharks every day. And you have to be available and prepared to deliver the content. I think what Instagram really provided for us was another one of those examples of the megalodon shark popping up and saying, I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm just letting y'all play for a while.
Definitely, man. Definitely. And back to that point, I feel like, let's say you are a hairdresser. Let's go back to the hairdresser, for example. And that's one way for you to use your Instagram. You would want to use your Instagram to say, hey, here's a curling tip. If you want to work with me, click on the link in my bio and it'll take you to some call to action. Whereas if you're on Snapchat, you could do like a funny filter where like you're the old lady and you're like, this is how I wake up in the morning. And then do like a little emoji, but this is how I turn fresh. And if you want to figure out how I get to look this fly, go catch me on my Instagram stories and I show you exactly how. And now they can coexist. So you don't have to pick one or the other. In fact, you should do both. But now that Instagram is there, Instagram now has another platform for you to do for you to put out content. And I've just readjusted my social calendar. And I'm going to go a little deep on this. So bear with me. So when I go to let's say I go to a birthday party with my friends, and these are my friends that I hang out with. They're my age, they're millennials, we're cool. We all hang out and look at our cell phones and take pictures, and that's kind of our thing. Now, if I go there, I got two choices. Well, I got a lot of choices, but in the scope of this conversation, my two choices is if I go sit down next to my friends and they're BSing and I put on the little dog filter, and now me and my girl, we got like dog faces and we're making stuff and we're like recording that and we're uploading it and we're having a good time. And then like, I might put the black and white filter on, and then you say I'm on a secret mission and play like some Mission Impossible in the background and make a story about how my goal is to steal my buddy's cigar or steal my buddy's drink. Like that's kind of funny and like dumb and Snapchatty, kind of high schoolish. But if I was on Snapagram on the Instagram stories, if I was there, what I would do is I would do a video of the place and say, look, we're at this nice bowling alley. My boy Matt Crane's got some sticks. We're here with his wife, and we're here with these people. And that's one. Then we go, our food comes in. Then I'm like, look at this amazing food. And that's two. And then at the end of the night, when we all say bye, it's like, yeah, we had a great night. I wouldn't do any of that other stuff, because when people go on my Instagram, they're not looking to see dumb stories from me. Now on Snapchat, we want to be entertained. We're like, Frank, tell me a story, put on the dumb filter, say the silly faces, throw the dumb emojis everywhere, entertain us, dance, monkey dance. That's what people are saying when they go to your feed. They're saying dance. On Instagram, they might find you through a hashtag. They might find you through a feature. They might find you through a tag. They might find you because they looked you up and Google registers with Instagram, and you want to have a better position of yourself out there. So that's just one way. And if you guys need help with understanding the different ways to utilize social media, make sure you follow my content. 90% of the stuff that I do is complimentary, and I break down instances on when and where you should use not just platforms, or not just Instagram or Snapchat, but all the other platforms like Facebook, Periscope, Busker, Pinterest, Anchor, and so on and so forth. So, thanks for indulging me on that. What are your thoughts on the appropriateness of each platform?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as a business development guru and as a coach in the business space, I'm telling my clients already, look, Instagram needs to be a place you need to go and marinate. Like you need to go and marinate your brand on Instagram right now, because people are already accustomed to the power of searching the hashtags on Instagram. So what happens is where people are really misunderstanding the power of Instagram stories is go to your profile or go to a profile of someone on Instagram. And the minute that you can see the purple circle in the top left-hand corner where their profile picture is, that means they've added a new story. Here's what happens. Instagram has now given people that you're now targeting with your message, right? So when you're adding those 30 hashtags inside your comments on your post, you're driving people to your profile. So what happens is now you've given them 2 points of reference. You've given them a static version, and then you've given them a live version. What's going to happen once they match up what you're showing them and what they're hearing from you? Now you've really created a channel of distribution to create business. Okay, so that's where the appropriateness for me really comes into play. With Snapchat, you're having to use a lot of cross promotion. You're having to push people to other channels, right? The one thing that I'll say that's very common is you very rarely have seen already on Insta Snaps people pushing other people to other platforms because they don't have to anymore. So I think that's where the appropriateness really comes into play, is that understand, look, if you're somebody that's really serious and you're really business-esque, right, then get on Insta Snap, marinate. But then the other side is you want to show that cool side of the pillow, right? Like my man Stuart Scott used to say on ESPN. So get on Snapchat and show people a little bit of your laid-back version. Don't be afraid to show that, because people are already going to be accustomed to seeing that. So I think to your point, Frank, you are spot on with the appropriateness, but I think also it really boils down to understanding the distribution channels of how you're delivering your message. Most people are trying to utilize social media right now, not for fun, but for funds. So if you're really trying to create funds in your life, then understand how to be socially appropriate. And Instagram has really raised the bar when it comes to that, without a doubt.
Definitely. And we've got lots of people on here right now. And Tamir Corporal, who's joining us live on Blab in our live studio audience, she says, Instagram is more on my level. I think I will stick to that. And while I do respect your opinion and your decision as a business owner, my job and my business is I help people like you get in front of more eyeballs. So if somebody is saying to themselves, hey, Instagram is more on my level or Snapchat's more on my level, and you're not doing both because you heard someone say, it's okay, buddy, it's okay, lady, you just need to be on one, maybe two platforms and stick to with whatever you're comfortable with, because that's what's going to get you to where you want to be. You know what? It will 2 years from now. It won't do it in 2 months. If you're on everything all the time, guess what? 60 days in this business is a long time. That's a way to get a very, very modest 5-figure launch. It's very, very amazing the kind of exposure that you can get if you're just on lots of places. So for those of you guys who are not yet on Instagram stories, get on Instagram stories, check it out. And for those of you guys who are not yet on Snapchat, get on Snapchat and check those out, because let's say that your target demographic, let's remove you. Again, business is not about you. Business is about your clients. It's about the people that you serve. Maybe some of the people that you serve are all on Instagram. And now I'm picking up a bunch of people from Instagram stories that were in my pipeline, because collectively, on Snapchat, Periscope, Busker, Facebook, Blab, Twitter, Pinterest, all the other platforms, YouTube, they see me out there, but they're like, you know what? I connected with this guy live on my Instagram stories and I like him. That's just one person. On the flip side, there might be somebody else who's only Snapchat. They're like, you know what? I don't have time for Instagram. I don't like it, but Snapchat's cool. It's easy. And all of my kids use it. And my kids are all like 15 to 30 and they make me laugh. So yeah, that's the only way that I'm on there. So, you know, Tamir Corporal says, I am on Snapchat, but I don't like it. I agree, but I've noticed that I've been able to get better leads on Instagram. Tamir, I'm just going to say again, the thing is, it doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter how you feel. The marketplace doesn't respect that. I know it's very harsh. I know it's very crude, but the marketplace is looking for where the people are. And there still are people on Snapchat. There's people on here right now that have said, look, I haven't even been on Instagram stories yet. It's so new. So I would still recommend for you to be on Snapchat. And being on Snapchat means producing content, engaging, being consistent, not just having an account. So that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Well, I'll just say this to everybody that feels like they're going to make a choice. Remember when Facebook Live dropped, the usage on Periscope went down. And what happened? There were people like myself who stayed diligent to Periscope and wound up trending 4 different times in 48 hours. And what did that do? It also elevated me to the point where now I'm in the process of getting verified on Twitter. I'm also now considered a influencer on Periscope. All these big boys and girls that I used to have to compete with, they now have been able to go back and watch some of my content. So what happens theoretically is, while there has been a mass exodus from Snapchat and people are going to Instagram, if you still stay consistent on Snapchat, you're going to wind up seeing Snapchat actually evolve and start promoting you a lot more. See, before, Periscope didn't put regular people in the trending. They would just drop the heavy hitters from Twitter. And then all of a sudden they said, man, we got to step the game up. And what happened? They started putting average Joes, right? And they started trending them. And then what happened? Naturally, all these big time players who were getting all the love started to make their way back and not neglect it 100%. And so I agree with Tamira on this level. I understand where she's coming from. She's found a target audience that jives with her, that she's hitting, that she's making money with. And so I would just tell her to ramp up her engagement and her content creation on Instagram, but not neglect the others, because that way she'll always be able to have that, what I call that fallback plan for content whenever she needs it at those moments of desperation, if you will.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. So I'm a growth hacker and I'm a massive action taker, 100%. Now, when you want to get at me through Anchor, I got you. When you want to get at me through Pinterest, and I get direct messages from Pinterest all the time. I know influencers in the game and they ain't getting messages on Pinterest. My Pinterest is blowing up. And because of the little things that I do on every platform, because I too at one time was not comfortable with Pinterest. I too at one time was not comfortable with Twitter. I too at one time was not comfortable with Periscope. I too one time was not comfortable with Snapchat, but I had to go in, learn the platforms, and do the little things every single day. And what are the little things? Number one, on Instagram, utilizing your hashtags. If you don't know where the hashtags are, watch the replay of this scope or this broadcast. Matt said it. I also have it in my complimentary trainings available in my inner circle at the Talent Tribe. That's a private Facebook group called the Talent Tribe. On Snapchat, it's using the emojis, telling people to screenshot, telling people to chat in, using the right filters, letting people know that you're fun, adding music in the background, drawing on the actual picture so people know it's from you, and it adds that extra level of personality. On Facebook, using the right hashtags, having a call to action, directing people to your Facebook group or whatever promotion that you have. So whatever platforms that you're on right now, just get uncomfortable. Just get uncomfortable. Like Mr. Felix Anderson says, get uncomfortable. Being uncomfortable is the way to success. And when you are uncomfortable on social media right now, I'm on at least 7 platforms a day. My goal is to just add one more on there, just to throw in one spinning plate, just to see if I can handle it, just to train my brain to get myself out into the next level, to another audience, whatever that may be. There's platforms that I could talk about that you guys are like, what is that, Frank? But I broadcast on there because it gets me an extra 300 to 900 views a month. Now, that might not sound a lot, but from those 300 to 900 views, guess what? I'm picking up 5 to 20 new clients from that.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a good point. I think that the sleeping giant in this whole process is going to be Pinterest. Pinterest is going to make a play in the next 2 years, and you're going to see it happen in a major way, because where Pinterest really wins is, number one, is that it's specifically a platform that gears people to clickable content. You put those infographics and it really allows you to click into content and go to websites, specifically driven content. And so I think Pinterest is a big player here, but I don't want to steer too much off topic. But I think here's the big point. And is that as you see social media platforms evolve or enhance, then you are always seeing why you constantly need to be evolving and enhancing your content. And the only way that you're going to be able to evolve or enhance your content is to produce content. So if you're sitting on the sidelines right now, understand this: you're going to continue to get Wally pipped, right? Wally Pipp was the starting first baseman for the New York Yankees. He got sick. He just thought he had his place. He said, man, I'm good to go. And a guy by the name of Lou Gehrig took his spot that day. In the next 2,030 games, Wally Pipp never saw the field. So always remember that you don't want to get Wally pipped because you want to give yourself a time crunch, so that's why you constantly have to be in the lab when you have the time, creating content that you can always add and dump to these sites, because it's important to have that content and create that content 100%.
That's right. Hey, big shout out to Lou Gehrig. Lou Gehrig is my fraternity brother, Phi Delta Theta. So yeah, we actually have a foundation for Lou Gehrig's disease. So yeah, I'm very familiar with him. I'm very familiar with that story. So yeah, great point, Matt. I mean, regardless, Instagram, Snapchat, Pinterest, whatever you're doing, guys, get in the game. And if for those of you guys, being in the game means that you only post on Twitter or that you only broadcast on Periscope, whatever it is that you only do, the only way to the next level is to add something more. Period. We've talked about a good tool, which is the Instagram stories right now, which is hot, which is relevant, which means you will be an early adopter. And I want to close this out with being an early adopter. Like, I'm an early adopter. Matt Crane is an early adopter. And when you're an early adopter for like 6 weeks to 3 months, like, look at Ghost Codes. Ghost Codes is still a powerful tool to get Snapchat followers, but for the 6 weeks to 3 months, it was really, really, really hot. And everybody was all about Ghost Codes, at least everybody in the know. And then now, Ghost Codes is still there, but that hype, that buzz around it has been gone. And right now, everyone's got that buzz on Instagram stories. So when Instagram stories is going to be hot for the next 6 weeks to 3 months until the next thing hits to catch our attention, then you're going to have that unique opportunity to put yourself in front of other platforms, in front of other people through the same platform, but another feature that's very, very highly engaged and highly inactive. Jump on there and say, hey, this is me, but direct people to other platforms. And the best place that I recommend for you guys to throw people is going to be a private Facebook group. Number one, everybody has a Facebook group. Number two, there's so many advantages because the notifications that you get when you post in that Facebook group is going to make their phone buzz. When you go live in that Facebook group, Facebook is going to value that content more and show it more in your timeline. It's not going to be a dark post like when your cousin got married last week and they just now put it in your timeline today because for whatever reason, the algorithm doesn't think you'd want to see something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the other thing that I will say is that don't be afraid to use the platform, right? So when you want to talk about Instagram stories, here's what's going to happen. Instagram stories is going to give you a quick win. Everybody wants a win. So because you already have a big following, because you already know where to share the content, because you already know how to create the content, Instagram is going to give you a big win. And here's where I think it's going to happen. It's going to allow you to really make a more informed decision on which platforms you're not winning at and either step up, step out, or step aside on those other platforms.
Great advice, man. All right. So if somebody right now has maybe been posting twice a week on Instagram, by the way, you should be posting once a day on Instagram. I don't care what anybody else tells you. We don't want to see your spam. We don't want to see your meal all throughout the day. We just want to get a little bit of you and then move on with our lives. So for those of you guys who are posting twice a week and you are interested in getting back on the Instagram game, here's what you do. Every day, the coolest part of your day, literally the coolest thing that you do, the coolest traffic light, pull over and go just take a little sunset, whatever, the coolest store that you see, the coolest mall that you're at, just walk in, invest 10 seconds on Instagram, put it on your Snap story, download it, and then upload it to your timeline or to your page and use the right hashtags. And guess what? 30 seconds of your time, you're now posting up on Instagram every day, who just got a resurgence and a lot of attentions are there. Remember, go where the eyeballs are there.
Yeah, 100% agree. 100% agree. Once again, 1.6 billion users on Facebook, 500,000 daily users on Instagram. Numbers don't lie. You got to get there. If you don't, sayonara, because the marketplace will get wrapped up pretty quickly.
Definitely. We just had a comment come in on Periscope that says, I don't even look at the posts anymore. I just look at the stories. That's all I do is look at the stories.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's true. But you still, but that particular viewer that gave you that comment is probably also more engaged now with that particular store that they like, and have probably then went and searched that person on all different social media platforms and now created once again, that distribution channel of information, which is what really in the long term, your business development infrastructure.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Well, this has been a great episode. Episode number 4. We finally made it a month for Millennial Moguls. Thank you so much for everybody who has supported us and really helped us out with all of your comments. There's going to be more coming, guys. Here next week, you will see me in Las Vegas. The week after that, you'll see me in Las Vegas. And we're actually going to be doing a podcast with Matt Crane in Las Vegas for the Growth Hacking Conference. Then you guys will see me in some very exotic places. So stay tuned, guys. If you want to get into my inner circle, just go to the private Facebook group, The Talent Tribe. That's where I serve those with talent and transform them into thought leaders. I'm going to leave you a link in all the show notes, or just go to bit.ly/talented one, all lowercase. Matt Crane, where can people find you?
Yeah, so once again, my name is Matt Crane at I am Matt Crane across the board on all social media channels. I am a business coach, business development expert. Also, I host the Power of Great podcast that airs every week on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio. I'm also going to be in Las Vegas 3 different times this year. I've just signed a deal to go to London, England in 2017. And then you guys will see me in October periscoping and doing a lot of different live streams from some exotic places in the Caribbean as well. I'm really excited about that. So my inner circle is really kind of created around business development concepts, networking, and where people can go and really look to get information, motivation, inspiration, and then be able to create opportunities to do business with one another. You can check me out, bit.ly/business Biz Dev with Matt. But I'll tell you, if you're not following at I am Matt Crane across the board on all social media channels, I want to formally apologize for not providing enough value for you to click that follow or for you to click that like. All you got to do is watch me, and I will help you and serve you in such a way that we won't be followers. We will be family on those platforms.
Boom, guys. Boom. Again, I am Matt Crane everywhere on social media, and you can find me everywhere at Talented Mr. Salas on social media. Thanks a lot, guys. And remember, all I want to do is encourage you to be the best version of yourself. Have a great night, everybody.